What have I done?
Jake, no!
What you always do!
You fixed the placemat
Yeah,
earlier!
to be fair,
Where's
literally.
my collection?
I threw it out!
What?
Well, that's it. Podcast's over.
Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By. I am your host, Jake, and I'm joined by...
Chris.
Ames.
Caitlin.
Pronouns are she, her. The favorite character is Tasha Yar. That's right, I'm back. It's D. Rogers after 100 episodes or
It's been
something.
close to 100 episodes. That's right, because we still had Tasha Yar when you were here last.
Yeah, that's
It was
right.
the last Tasha Yar
that's
episode.
right.
Gee, you were here for
Yes,
season
Skinner-
1 and season 7.
Hell yeah.
You
Hell
were
yeah.
here with babyface Riker.
Oh,
I just
those are the
wanted.
days.
I want to take a second and appreciate the fact that Jake just perfectly rhymed and metered that thing that you just improv'd. It was beautiful.
That's Jake's
I
special
work
too.
on it.
It was wonderful. I'm honestly very impressed.
Jake, what episodes did we watch this week?
Well, on this week, which I should mention is episode 103D4,
Woo! 3D.
we watched 2 episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Ooh.
They were in no particular order, except these are the order that we watched them and the order in which they aired. Parallels, followed by the Pegasus.
Close
Pegasus.
Yes.
Pegasus.
Pegasus is fun to write because it's just all these little jagged letters.
All right. Well, we'll start with Parallels. So Parallels is a virtualization platform that allows you to run multiple virtual machines on a single physical host, often in a data center environment.
It's not.
We're going to talk about
It's not
that.
taking off.
Oh, shit.
Pivot.
Shit. Quick. All right. Okay. Parallels.
He's here keeping us on track.
This is episode 11 of Star Trek Generation.
Yep.
Isn't that the
so
Did you say this is episode 11 of the series?
Of the season.
season.
Okay,
So
sorry.
whatever.
Did you say the series? Of course you
7
did.
I also
season.
thought that's what you said, but who knows?
Okay.
Anyway.
So
7-Eleven.
Worf is on his way home after kicking ass at a Klingon battle Batleth tournament,
Batleth battle.
which sounds to me like, I mean, he mentions several contenders were maimed, but
By whom?
I'm gonna say that there was some serious deaths.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like really, I like how he was champion standing, which I took to mean he was the last person standing, and therefore was the champion. But anyway, so he's on his way back, and some shit happens, and he gets back to the ship, and it's also his B-Day. So they throw him a surprise party, which he hates.
But Riker loves.
Riker loves surprises.
Would.
During the party, some shit goes down. First things first, Data gives him a painting of the Battle of Hirosh, which is very nice.
That's not even in the notes. Jake just knows this.
And Troy gives him a cast of Alexander's head, which is creepy.
I was thinking it's like,
like
the
it's
baby
like-
head.
yeah.
Did
Okay.
they cut it off of him first?
Yeah, that's why you never see him again. It's
Good.
great.
That's
yes.
true. Yeah, and it's all in all a pretty good affair. But,
There's cake.
yeah.
Chocolate cake.
There's chocolate
No.
cake.
Or is it?
There's chocolate cake,
Yellow
and
cake.
after that, they go and check out the Argus Array, which has been something's wrong with it again. This is the same Argus Array that they fixed in the Nth Degree, and
They still
I feel
fucking make them like they used to.
I fucking blame Barkley.
yeah, he Broccoli did screw it up. This time, it turns out that it was
was super smart at the
potentially
time.
some Cardassians tampering with it to spy on the Federation. So they check the logs, and then a battleship shows up, a Galore class, naturally. That's a Cardassian ship. There's a little bit of a showdown, and in the end, really, nothing happened in this episode. That was pretty much it.
When did we eat the cake?
At the party. So,
Was it a cellular
Parallels.
cake?
Do we have cake? Does it have mint frosting? That's
Where
how
do
I
you-
prefer my cellular
What do you do
peptide.
when the host refuses to summarize the
that was the episode. What am I missing?
Worf had an adventure. No one else did.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, all right. I get the game. we're playing.
Jake is playing a game.
I got the game.
I don't understand.
Well, we have to
Okay,
read
I'll
Worf's
come
report.
clean. I actually was in a parallel universe a moment ago and told you this episode from only one perspective. Now I'll tell it from another perspective. So Worf
As
is
long
heading
as you do
home
it
from
quickly.
a Batleth tournament on Forcus 3, in which he did not place because a contender used an illegal maneuver.
Oh no, he placed.
He got ninth.
He came in ninth.
Oh, he came
like
in
a
ninth.
bitch.
That's right. When he gets back to the ship, he anticipates a birthday party, but Commander Riker assures him that he would never do that to him. When he goes in, there is a birthday party. This time it's vanilla cake.
Yum.
And Data has painted him a beautiful painting of a Klingon battle cruiser. And Alexander is dead and never existed. Oh, and Troy is she's
wife.
down to clown with the down to clown with the Klingon.
He's her
Wife.
Parmakai.
Yeah,
Right? That's the one, that one?
I don't
Parmesan?
think that term has been introduced yet, but yes.
Pharmacy?
Well, what did he? Didn't he use that with
I think he just
Kaylair?
said, I think he just said mate.
Mates?
I think he
Oh.
just said, you are my mate.
That's right.
We must say the words. Okay. All right, so what really happened? So, in brief, because I'm in the yellow, basically, Worf, something happened to his shuttle, and every time he's near Geordi, he transitions to some other parallel universe, and for some reason, he's only paralleling into, like, nearby universes, so it
Wait,
gets...
is the Geordie thing a red herring, or is that...
No, that
that's
actually
real.
is
That's actually...
It's,
God
it's
damn, Star Trek.
his visor was triggering the
subspace
effect.
hoodly what's
Okay.
So he keeps getting
Fucking
farther and
Geordie and
farther
Barclay.
away, it seems, because, like, at first, it's just little changes, like
Yeah.
cakes. And in the end, it's like Wesley on the bridge.
Yeah, that
much-
was so funny.
May I say, a much nicer bridge.
A much nicer Wesley.
I didn't care for
No.
like the glass,
Same Wesley.
the thing behind Wesley.
That was a bit
little
much.
weird.
That was cluttering, but everything else, I loved everything else.
There was a Cardassian
yeah.
on the bridge.
There
So,
was.
wait, Jake, what was happening? Like, how did it all resolve?
Well, as it turns out, it was in fact he'd passed through some
Time what's it?
when he was in the shuttle. So because of that, he was being pulled between universes. So in the end, they figure out, well, if we go back to the site of the original thing, you know, maybe we'll figure it out. And then and then some Bajorans attack, the warlike Bajorans in this universe.
Accurate.
And their attack triggers something in the rift that causes all of the barriers between all of the universes to break down, and just a million enterprises just start appearing everywhere from many different parallel universes. And there's one where the Borg are winning, and Riker
is so filthy.
grizzled.
I felt so bad for him. It was so upsetting.
So basically what they have to do is get Worf into the shuttle from his universe, which they know because of quantum.
Alright.
And so they do find his shuttle, and he gets to fly into the rift. And when he comes out, everything is evidently restored, and only he has any memory of the events that had transpired.
Yeah, and it's back to the beginning of the story, and not
Yep.
a week after, in which who knows what would have happened with all the other Worfs.
Right, because Geordi is dead in at least a couple of
At least two.
at least two of the universes
That's
because of
true.
Worf.
He died, yeah, so there's a scene where Worf suddenly, he's been in this sort of like, he's having these weird like, wait, like, you weren't here a moment ago. Like, that painting was on the other wall. And then there's abruptly a shift where he is on the this scene is
Yeah.
like so effective.
Yeah.
He's just talking to Geordi.
Suddenly
and,
it's
like,
a Dvorak
feels faint.
keyboard instead of a
Yeah.
QWERTY.
And he's like, so he's on the bridge, and Picard says, what does he say?
Shields up, I think.
No, he doesn't say
no,
that.
he
'Cause
doesn't give him that clue
Worf
until
doesn't
much
even
later.
know what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
He's like, make it so, Mr. Worf, or something.
Oh.
Or now, Mr. Worf, I think.
Yeah, that's what
and
I said
Worf
now.
is like
I don't
standing
even know
there.
how the fuck to use this keyboard.
There's like an awkward pause.
Yeah.
Worf,
Is this thing a Dvorak? What the fuck?
Picard and Riker like look back at him, and there's a great shot of like an angle you never see from Worf's perspective.
It
and they're
was
just
awesome.
like, "What are you doing?" And you see this Cardassian ship like wheeling, and it's obviously incredibly dangerous. And somebody finally repeats, "Shields
That's
up,"
yeah.
and he like Riker's like, "Shields up, buddy! Like that's what we're doing here." And he looks at the keyboard, and he's like, "I don't know how to use this. I can't help you." And then they get shot. Geordi dies. Their shields overload. It's terrible.
Damn shame.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an effective moment.
So we can only assume though that Geordi did not die after the timeline was restored.
Yeah, because he jumps back. So
Well, he shows
presumably
up in the
none
next
of
episode,
Or
right?
that
So.
Geordi
I mean, this
doesn't
episode
die.
makes little and less sense. It's an.
Oh, strong disagree. Strong disagree.
I'll
it's perfectly cogent.
I'll just put this one out there, okay?
is.
I'll just put this one out there.
Okay.
So when he first arrived on the ship
With his first place trophy?
with his first place trophy at the very beginning of the
It's
episode.
very lethal trophy.
Don't trip and fall in your quarters, buddy.
Has secretly thrown him a surprise party. Mm-hmm. At the end of the episode, he also has his Champions Trophy. Supposedly in his original universe, there is no surprise party.
He wasn't in his original universe.
He hadn't encountered Geordi yet.
Yeah, but he passed through the rift the first time.
The rift itself transitioned him?
What they say is that, like, he passed through the rift and that did something, and then every time he met Geordi, it, like,
He was
triggered the
thinking
effect.
about Geordi really hard.
No, it was so obviously this is nonsense, but they say that there's some subspace whatever with the advisor. So it is like that is so he goes through once when he goes through the rift, and then again every time he's around the active visor.
So if Geordi wasn't there,
If Geordi was away on Rise.
or if Geordi just didn't have the visor, or just didn't exist, or wasn't friends with Worf,
He would
then
go through once.
He would live his life in a universe
With chocolate
where the
cake.
only difference was he had a birthday party.
Yeah, that's true. And so maybe like just to maybe for the listeners, it's good to like give a sense of how Worf feels moment to moment. The first time it happens is again I think a really effective moment where there's a cake at his birthday party. He cuts it and he hands a slice to Deanna maybe or Crusher or somebody, and it's like a nice chocolate cake. And
Troy loves chocolate.
Then
That's one of her character
it
traits.
is. And then his attention is distracted. Like he looks in the other direction to this painting that Data brought him. And then somebody like there's a shot that very carefully framed. Somebody like hands a piece of cake. Like,
Deanna
here,
hands it
have
to
a
him.
piece of cake. And it's clearly
Yellow cake.
vanilla cake.
Well, and he says, "Isn't it chocolate
He's
cake?"
like, the cake was chocolate, right? And
Oh,
they're
I
like-
wish. I love chocolate.
Yeah, Deanna
I'm
says, "I
Troy.
wish."
That's
Yep.
one of my very few character traits.
And then like and then like at that moment, prior to this, like Riker makes a point of saying, "Hey, I'm really sorry that Captain Picard couldn't make it. He's needed on the bridge." And then right after that cake moment, Captain just says like, "How old are you, Mr. Worf?" from off frame, and it cuts to him. And so the whole episode is moments like that where at first he's just kind of like, he's like that was weird and disorienting, and then later it's like people are telling him things that he knows to be false because
it's a little
more
bit.
changes are gradually happening.
What's the one where Bev is left to be the only person on the ship?
Remember me.
Remember me. It's a little like that, where it's
Yeah.
like things keep happening. You're you're trying to convince yourself that you're right. That no, I'm right because I remember this stuff.
Yeah.
Why does no one else remember this stuff?
Yeah. So a lot of the episode is about him, like, talking to and persuading people that something legitimate is happening.
Yeah, that he's not crazy.
Yeah. And a cool thing I like about Star Trek with this kind of plot, actually, is that everybody always takes these things seriously.
They do.
Yeah, even if
Yeah.
it's like ridiculous, they'll always look into it.
Yeah, it's like something very, like, supportive
They
and
trust each other,
positive.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing
yeah.
is, like, it's the universe they live in. You know,
Yeah.
so much fucked up shit has happened that, like, literally anyone can claim anything has happened. You gotta go, there is a non-zero chance this has happened.
And there's a rational, a rationality for it.
Yeah.
There's probably one of the universes where, like, it is actually working on the Enterprise is, like, working on the ISS. It's just kind of, like, tedious like, scientific work. And everybody was like, geez, Worf is freaking losing it. What's happening?
Thankfully, he didn't make it to that one.
Now,
No.
here's where like it's one of those episodes. In my opinion, anyway, that like does like it's well done, and I do think that there are a ton of positive aspects of that show. But I think it's one that there's only a veneer of making sense because when you really start to think about some of these things, like first of all, what happens to the Worf in the universe
I was
that
wondering
he
that
jumps
too.
to? Does he
Where
just
are all the other
does
Worfs?
he switch places?
Yeah, I assumed they were kind of trading.
They're in a. It's a train. That's a good way to put it.
How do they know?
They're all like.
Or how do we know, really?
Well, because of that end scene where they're trying to get them all back where they belong.
Well,
And
Yeah,
I
there's
think
a-
that.
But we never see any of the other Worfs.
No, we do once.
When?
When
He's
Picard,
behind.
proper Picard,
Yeah.
calls up, it's like, we think we're his crew. There's a Worf behind
There was a
him.
Worf. Oh, I missed the Worf.
no,
There's
there's Worf's
also a Worf in
the Borg one.
Oh, yeah,
Worf?
that's right, there is.
Oh, I
You
totally
had some very-
missed that.
I would
That's
think
what
I
I'm
would think
talking
that all of them must have a Worf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Some
think
of
they
the
would.
Worfs just haven't picked up.
I don't
No,
think
so
they
it's
would have
like-
encountered ones without Worf.
Yeah. So yes, exactly. Like it's. But I think by necessity, like maybe when the breakdown happens, there might be universes starting to come in at the end that don't have Worfs. But
So all the Worfs who actually actually
Yeah.
did get killed by the barrel aren't there.
Right.
Oh,
so
no.
so there are like, for instance, in our home universe that we've been watching this whole time, there's somebody who's like, but Captain Picard died. Like, why doesn't anybody remember this the way that I do?
Yeah.
Or like,
Well, that's the one we
Well,
wind
but here's
up
the
with,
thing.
right?
I
Because
think,
Riker's
but
like,
no,
oh,
I
it's
see.
been...
I was thinking that maybe the reason why only the Worf, we'll call it Prime Worf, Worf Prime. I'm betting that only Prime Worf went through the rift.
yeah.
And he's the only one that is actively moving through these universes, and the other ones are just switches.
No, I think...
Because hear me out here, right? Because the Worf on the Enterprise, on Prime Enterprise that they see
With Picard.
on the view screen, like, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just doing his job. He's just standing in his post. I think that he is the Worf from Surprise Party universe, who just happened to switch
and was really hoping for a surprise
and
party.
did not get a surprise party. That he was the Worf that got the non-surprise party that we saw at the end.
Okay.
So he had really no idea that anything was off. There was no reason that, like, Geordi's visor had no effect on him because he didn't pass through the rift in his universe.
Disagree, actually.
Really?
There's evidence against that, because when they call Enterprise Prime,
Enter Prime.
and say like,
like
hey,
Thank you.
we have concluded that we need to get our Worf on your shuttlecraft. The Captain Picard of Prime Captain Picard is like, our data has reached the same conclusion, which means that they must have been working on the problem.
Oh, that's actually
Also-
a very good point, because every time he switches, he doesn't have to re-explain the whole thing because they're already aware of the situation because their Worf is
The
doing
Worf ahead of them.
But the
was
Worf,
doing
but
the
was
same
it
thing.
just from the perspective of Riker or Picard or any other characters? Is it just a progression of Worfs to them? It's just like, man, Worf is
increasingly confused Worfs.
It's true. Yeah, which does actually. It's funny because that.
Where
does,
are our kids, DM?
That is
Or
what
actually,
they see.
It's like sort of it's the same bell curve for both of them, where it's like by the end he doesn't have to explain as much,
Yeah.
and they don't need to get. It's like all right, progressively confused Worf, and then all right, we think this is a different guy, but he seems to get it. Like,
Yeah.
what?
But although there's one moment I remember. It's when at that
When
that
the doctors
moment,
switch, right?
not that one. It's
Okay.
when they, although I love that moment, but it's that jump to the bridge, right? Which is like the biggest shift
Yeah.
you see, where he's suddenly in a different place. Because after they get clear of the situation, he says like, I'm experiencing like memory loss again, like we've been talking about. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it's like in that universe, for whatever reason, and it's like, it's interesting why that might be, right? Like maybe...
Well, I think that's the universe where he never even got to the competition.
Right.
Because they're having deflector
Right.
issues.
Yeah.
So I think it's not all the Worfs went through the rift, but more than one Worf definitely did, because when they're fixing things at the end, there's like all these other ghostly Worfs.
Right.
Was that
Oh,
also
maybe that's
also
what it
on
is.
the
was
shuttle.
it also the Enterprise that had CMO Ogawa instead of CMO Crusher?
Yeah.
So fucking good, and it's something that like I love that touch, because it's something that when she comes on screen, and this is probably partly that like I'm not doing a complete watch through like you are, but I was kind of like, okay, she's whatever, she's like Beverly's helper. I was just like fine with it. And then, like, as soon as Beverly's like, Dr. Ogawa, after he changes universes again, I was like, oh, right, that's really weird. But I was actually like, it's just awesome that character who's been hanging around as Nurse Ogawa forever, like, the actor gets to be Dr. Ogawa.
Was
for a
that
second.
also the universe where Data had blue eyes?
Yeah.
Oh,
Data
I
with
didn't
blue
miss
eyes
that.
was
Yeah.
weird.
That's
Blue Eye
awesome.
Data. That was the first universe where Geordi was dead.
Yeah.
Data had blue eyes.
They had apparently not had the issue in that universe with the stupid phantasms bugs, because they still had the warp core upgrades from that episode. They had the like weird panel and the green lighting.
There's a lot of really good like costume and design choices.
Oh yeah, speaking of, I'm going to ask Chris, how did you like the new badges?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh, I hated them.
I hated them too.
What,
I
you
don't-
mean the one with the three
With the
bars?
with the three,
So those aren't-
it was the number of bars of your rank.
Those
so you had
weren't-
redundant rank.
Right, so those weren't new.
Those weren't new.
Those first appeared.
Oh, those were from Future Imperfect.
Yes.
Oh,
from the fake
Wait,
future.
but that's a fake future that
I know.
Ethan made up.
But apparently there's like infinite universes. But yes, I agree that it's stupid to have that badge and the pips.
Here's
one or the other.
Here's the thing, right? So here's a canon explanation. So Riker is now is captain of that Enterprise.
Yep.
Right.
Adopted little Ethan.
Well, no. So he left after his experience in the cave and being the captain. He was like, those are really dapper. I'm gonna implement those, and everyone you get new badges.
Captains do not have discretion to design uniforms.
That's fleet wide.
I don't know. Tell that to Commodore Decker.
Wow.
Well, fuck Commodore Decker.
But yeah, no, having I like that badge on its own with pips.
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, I just thought it was like a cool instead of like the solid back, we have this 3 rows.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it corresponded to rank, which I think is stupid.
That's how they worked in Future Imperfect.
Yeah.
But they also got rid of the pips.
But the thing is, in that universe, the bridge modifications to the
I love the bridge.
to Worf Station also had the Future Imperfect. The glass panel underneath the
glass
arch.
panel underneath looks good. Like you said, the thing behind Wesley is you're just cluttering
but
the bridge.
those were also things that were on the bridge in Future
I'd
Imperfect.
forgotten that.
So apparently Riker did do some redecorating after that experience.
Yeah. So in that so that's maybe the universe that we spend the most time in for this episode, or
probably
it's close to.
Yeah.
It also has grown up Wesley, which I agree. I liked that. And there's the scene where actually, that scene in the ready room, the briefing, I thought was really good because it's just this really cute, Wesley's like, well, we could do this. And he's like, it's a suggestion. Yeah. And Data's like, excellent suggestion, Lieutenant.
Aww.
Yeah.
And I was like, Wesley became a functional member of the crew.
It's super appropriate that you're here, Dee, because before they decided, okay, let's have Wesley, on and not make a big deal of it, not be like, oh, Wesley's here and this is a big fucking deal.
Oh, they were going to have Tasha?
They were going to bring back Denise Crosby.
It would be so
and they decided, no, we keep fucking this up.
I think that would have been a good use of Denise Crosby, though.
Instead of any of the other ones?
Dumb bullshit we got.
Because that would almost be like a Yesterday's Enterprise usage, which was good.
I loved that one. That was a good episode. I was supposed to do that episode.
Oh, you were sick or something, right?
I was sick, yeah.
Boo,
I was
sick.
thinking about in my notes. I had so many observations about how great the costumes were and the hair and stuff. They looked like they had TOS hair.
Yeah,
it was so good.
But yeah, So do we think that the reason Wesley is here is because the incident from
Red Squad
never
happened?
Yeah, I'm wondering.
It got even further shoved under the carpet.
Yeah, maybe
was it Red
didn't
Squad? I thought it was Nova
Nova Squad, yeah, sorry.
Red Squad's a different squad.
That's
from
Star Wars, I think.
No, there's I'm pretty sure there's a Red Squad in DS9.
Oh, okay.
That Nog.
But yeah, no, yeah. He didn't meet Tom Paris in this timeline.
Two really. Oh my God, you're right. That's Tom Paris. Two really quick, 2 high points or things of the episode we should talk about. One, just quickly, we've referred to it, but that moment with it's okay. So Worf's shuttlecraft is going back to the breach to stop everything, and Wesley's like, somebody's firing on the shuttle. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
And Riker's actually oh, is it those hostile Bajorans from the powerful Bajoran Empire that we met earlier? It's no, it's an Enterprise. They're hailing us. And it's like the screen's all wavy, and Riker has this crazy
hermit so
beard.
crazy.
And it's just my favorite thing. So Riker, Jonathan Frakes gives this great the Borg
does.
are everywhere in our universe. You can't send us back.
He's good.
It's really good. And then in the background, Worf is actually has this just incredibly, to me, very funny he's just because it's just Riker and Worf.
Yeah.
And Worf is this is blowing up. Panels are exploding, and Worf will run over and be why?
Well, I like to imagine that Worf actually came from a really peaceful universe, and he's like, what the fuck?
I hate this.
In his universe, the Klingons actually did what the Vulcans did. We almost killed ourselves. It's time for logic and peace.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
I love that idea.
I was so busy focusing on Riker, I didn't notice that. I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah, me too.
So Wesley's a lieutenant, I realize. So
Yeah.
I don't think he would have been a recent Academy grad, which means he probably beat Murdoch to go.
Yeah, he went the first time.
Yeah.
Wow.
To make it in.
And then didn't have a whole bunch of adventures.
Yeah.
And then we should just reference so one of the major plots of the episode is Worf and Deanna.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, which I love.
A lot of fans hated it.
Well,
Well,
get
I
ready
don't give
because
a
it's
shit
coming.
what those
because
people
there's- This is just the tip of the iceberg.
You know who else hated it? Jonathan Frakes.
Oh, really?
He was not a fan. He's like, why have we been building up the Riker Deanna thing
from a writing
for
standpoint,
years and years and years?
Sense.
What is we're just going to throw him in war?
He's just jealous.
I actually,
I'm sure.
I like that. To me, like, I actually, and maybe this is me, like, looking at it, remembering that this happened at the end, but I like the vibe between Riker and Deanna, that they're sort of like, oh, like, we dated, like, now we're, like,
you're
good
someone
friends.
my son can,
we like to flirt with
around.
each other. It's cool. I'm sorry, I'm talking not Riker and Deanna, not Worf and Deanna.
Oh, okay.
Like, they can, like, flirt and have fun and, like, almost, like, go on dates, but they're just never going to be serious, and that's fine.
Yeah, they
And
probably
then-
have some casual sex because it's the future and
They
you can
probably
do that
do.
shit.
Gene certainly thought so.
I mean, that's the thing is, it doesn't come 100% out of nowhere, because I feel like they did sort of seed it a little with
They
the
claim
whole
they
barrel
did.
sequence and this and that.
I do like...
But it still comes like 75% out of nowhere.
I actually do... Like, I'm not sure how I feel about it for the rest of the series. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not... But I like the Deanna that we wind up with, who's just sort of like... God, the best scene is when she's like, you don't remember our children. And then, but, like, Worf turns it around and is like, what about Alexander? And she's like,
There's
"Who's
no such thing. He's like, I'm staying here.
He actually kind of smiles, and I think the idea was it was supposed to be like a sad smile.
Yeah.
But like to me, I was just like, "Oh man, that's the best." He just got a huge double Klingon boner.
My note during that scene was like, wait, there's no Alexander here? You know what? I'm gonna stay. This universe, I'm first officer.
You know what? I'm good.
My terrible kid is dead.
I killed Geordi. It's all good.
This is fine.
We can beat the Bajorans.
This is fine.
Okay.
I bet they're squishy.
So is Troy
children
Troy
or the
Worf
Bajorans?
better than Bev Picard?
Oh my god, a million times better.
I disagree, actually. Like, in this, I, again, like this episode, like, this sort of, like, explored in an alternate universe in a cool way.
Yeah.
But they just puzzle me. Like, I just don't see it. Like,
I don't see it.
Yeah.
I liked it for this episode. I don't think it should have become.
But no, I think it does make sense because they were like kind of polar opposites. Like she's like, I mean, not that always works. Like you have to have something in common.
He's incredibly emotional, and she can detect incredible emotion.
Worf, I think that you are angry.
See, I'm so good at this empath thing.
Why does he sound like Chewbacca?
They just spent
that was really good.
so long dithering and whatever with the Picard Beverly thing that I've just come to hate it.
Yeah,
just out of like, you
fair.
can't make up your mind.
Will they? Won't
so
they?
I
Who
now
gives a shit?
resent this relationship.
Yeah, no, extremely same.
So
especially because they didn't capitalize on it a few weeks ago when like they really could have. Like,
Yeah.
you had the opportunity. Like we finally have it out on the table how we feel because we've been reading each other's thoughts. Yeah, let's just go back to how it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
yeah.
All right.
But yes, no, I generally like the final bridge. I like a proper captain's chair, god damn it, and that's what that bridge had.
It did have that.
I don't like flanking chairs. It's just no.
I don't know, though, because it's just awkward.
Well, yeah, like Worf didn't have anywhere to be.
Yeah.
They needed to give him a station. Because, like, it works in the original because Spock still has a station to go to. And it's like, so you make him the ops dude, I guess,
Or
if
give him,
Wesley's
like, a
tactical.
little, there can be a little, like, exec station somewhere else.
Yeah, something. Like, which is kind of what they do with the Enterprise E. They, like, sell the flanking chairs, but they're, like, a little further away and have a computer.
Yep. So I, like... Should we... We're moving into, like, wrap up.
Yeah, let's wrap. Yeah, let's.
Yeah,
So
let's wrap it
we're
up.
back in the green.
I really... I wanted to come back for this episode, actually, because this episode, like, it actually, like, really stayed with me when I was a kid. Just that experience of, like, that painting was over there. Like, that really, like, I guess it, like, I actually found it kind of chilling in, like, a really serious way. Because I remember, like, being young and actually thinking about this. I would just, like, if anybody's ever, like, no, that painting was always green. Like, if anything like that ever happened, I was like, I'm just going to play it totally cool. Like, nobody will know. Like, I'm not going to be
Well,
like,
this is like that.
oh, no, everything's
What's that
bad.
thing? Someone was telling me about the. I think we've talked about it on here before. In fact, I can't remember what it's called, but the
Mandela
thing,
effect?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Where
I can't believe
people
we didn't
think
talk about
that they are in a universe because they have a poor memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
and the
the
Berenstein Bears, right?
yeah, it's the people remember Nelson Mandela dying long before he did. People remember that the Berenstain Bears is spelled Stein when it's actually spelled Stain.
Yeah.
And there's another one too, which is I can't remember the names of either of them, but there was a movie in the 90s that started a basketball star.
Oh,
as
Shazam and Sinbad and
Sinbad and Shazam.
Shaq.
Shazam was the movie. That was Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal.
But everyone
and Sinbad
insists that it was.
Yeah, the
Sinbad
alternate version is that it was another person.
That's just mild racism.
yes, it is.
That's just like you.
Is it mild? It's pretty blatant.
See, this episode is one of the ones I definitely saw as a kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know for certain, but it is probably the first, if not the first, certainly one of the first things that introduced me to the concept of parallel universes.
It's
Such a
infinite universes
staple.
in this case. Is the mirror universe in here, do we think?
Probably.
Well, that's the other
I
thing
guess
too, is that
presumably, yeah.
Star Trek, not at this point, but Star Trek will eventually establish that there are exactly two universes.
Well, that's not right at all.
One where there is evil people, and one where there are
Like,
good people.
clearly there's something about the mirror universe that means it's somehow linked more closely to the Prime universe because it's so much easier to get to it.
It's the
than
one right
all
on the
these-
other side.
Yeah,
No,
it's like
it's just the two. My favorite.
what about the Kelvin timeline?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, that's a different timeline, not a different universe.
No, I was gonna say,
But
like,
these are
actually,
That timeline
Wait,
is a different
timeline.
universe.
Oh yeah.
They are timelines. Like,
I
that's
looked-
kind of the whole point.
I looked this up, and the Star Trek 2009 screenwriters cite this episode as their inspiration for saying, yeah, the Kelvin timeline will work because of parallels. To which I say, fuck parallels.
Aw.
I was gonna say that means Ames hates this episode.
So that means
They should go back and like CG in a Kelvin verse Enterprise D just to see what the fuck that would even look like.
no.
Yeah, fuck the Kelvin verse.
Aside from Into Darkness, it's great.
Well, because the timeline would not have. Would it have diverged yet? Because Spock hadn't gone back in time yet.
Oh yeah, I guess. Ooh,
I don't
oh
know.
god.
It depends
1
on. It
plus
depends,
1 plus 2 plus
yeah,
1.
it depends on if you say that on how contiguous events work, right?
Yeah.
Like, does it go
Yeah.
back and change the thing?
Is it Back to the Future rules or?
Well, I contend that Star Trek has its own rules, because,
It does, yeah.
which explains the original series and why Enterprise has seemingly more advanced technology. I think I've explained this theory before, that it was actually the events of First Contact that led to
The Enterprise universe.
the Enterprise universe.
You know what my theory is? It's a show, and time has progressed naturally.
You know what my theory is? Stop doing prequels.
my theory, which is mine, is that the Brontosaurus is small on both ends and wider in the middle.
Nice.
I don't understand.
It's a Monty Python bit.
Okay. Also, the Brontosaurus doesn't exist. It's a Brachiosaurus.
It did in the 70s.
Yeah, but that's because they had the wrong head on.
Yes,
it.
I know. I'm quoting a thing.
Well,
The last Kelvin verse movie was pretty good.
The cat shit.
Other thoughts? What are our
I
other
can't
thoughts?
help you, Jake. Do you want to go scoop the box?
the cat shit.
It just smells like shit. I'm gonna go scoop the shit.
I don't smell it.
There we go.
No.
Jake's gonna go scoop a box, and then we're going to move on to the Pegasus.
It just smells.
No shit.
Jake, it's your own breath blowing back in your face,
Must
mate.
be. There's no shit.
In either box?
No.
No shit, Jake.
That's interesting.
Wow. Oh my god, what is happening?
Oh, I had to get it anyway. Let's reset the clock. Alright, turn the clock back. Turn the clock back. Relax. Alright, good. Alright. Well, folks, wonderful parallel discussion.
Yeah.
Alright.
See how easy this edit's gonna be.
It'll be fine. Here. There. Now we're back.
But it's fake getting out of it, right? There's gonna be some overlap.
Let's just have some. Let's talk. Let's have a laugh, and you can splice the laugh in right after we tell a joke, and then we'll pretend. That was a great joke.
I don't get it.
We'll explain when you're older.
The mule. And, okay. Anyway. All right. So that was Parallels. I think we can agree. I think it was a good episode. I did like
enjoyed
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's just
It's a good
one. It's just one of
concept.
those ones that like. I don't know.
Dorn does a great job.
Maybe
He
you
does.
can make it make sense It's just
Oh, you know what else I saw?
it's tricksy.
They were originally going to have it be center around Picard, and then they realized, this sounds like fucking Times Squared? I don't remember.
That was
which
a
one.
dumb. Yeah, that's one
Which
with
is
dumb
dumb,
Picard.
but also like what would change around Picard. And
Well,
they,
he also
they wrote themselves
honestly
into a hole.
he'd have dealt with it better.
Probably. Yeah.
Like it needs to be Worf.
Ninth place.
Yeah.
Ninth place.
Like Worf is gonna deal with it in a way that's more entertaining.
Yeah. There are like things that are weak about this episode, but I think that it is both. There's like a lot of really nice touches, and like it's just like a fun science fiction concept.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
agree.
it's a fun concept to explore.
Speaking of fun, we're going from a birthday party to
A death day party?
no. What's our what's
yes.
our special holiday, Jake?
Oh, it's Captain Picard Day.
Oh, that's right.
Good handoff.
Party on episode.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is the Pegasus. So I'll give the summation. So we join the Enterprise. It is Captain Picard Day, which is a thing set up by the school to
Piss off Picard.
Picard
And delight
all
Riker,
the kids make little effigies of Picard. In the middle of this, Admiral lady calls. What is? Oh no, that's Pressman. That's a different one. So an Admiral calls and she's like, "Yo, Johnny boy." We got this big mission coming up. We're sending a special dude to you that's going to tell you all about it, but you have to drop what you're doing. Oh, and by the way, you can break the warp speed limit during this mission that we established a few weeks ago. This will be the one and only time we will reference this.
But at least they do. At
They
least
do.
At least
They
we
do.
get that
A
one.
little continuity there, which is nice.
Climate change.
So we are joined soon by Admiral Pressman, played by Terry O'Quinn. You may know him as Jean-Luc.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
Jean-Luc, not Picard, from Lost. He shows up, and he turns out his old buddy boy is with Riker. In fact, he was Riker's first captain on the Pegasus, and it turns out that it is that very ship which concerns his trip. The Pegasus was evidently lost with most hands, except for a small group, including Pressman and Riker, 12 years prior. It was assumed destroyed, but I was like, listen, some spies told us that the Romulans think they've located it, so we got to find it before they do.
Is it Spock? I hope it's Spock.
Probably. And it's implied that there's some shady shit, or there's just some stuff that there's on the ship that they want to get. Pressman's being pretty cagey about it, but Riker knows more than he's letting on. So they begin the search.
Troy would sense that.
Was she in this episode?
No. So they begin their search for the.
She's in the first scene.
Oh.
Was she?
Yeah, she's in Captain Picard Day.
Oh, that's right.
That's
I
right.
think that's the one time
That's
she
the only
appears.
time she's in.
That's right.
Continue.
Good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah, so they go to this place where they think it is, and they find a Romulan ship, and there's this weird, awkward Romulan, cagey conversation between the Romulan and Captain Picard, and they're like, "Oh, we're just here checking out gas," and Picard's like, "Same thing." Picard's like, "I didn't know your mom was in this sector." Oh! Anyway, so they do eventually find the ship. It's underneath the surface of an asteroid, which is weird, right? Because it's an asteroid. So they decide they're going to go in through this tunnel on the surface. Meanwhile, like Pressman's like a total dick all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Picard's getting pissed off because he's not getting any info. Riker's not telling him everything. He gets some classified report, Picard does, that indicates that Riker lied and that the truth was buried, and Picard's like, "Tell me what's going on, you bitch!" And Riker's like, no, motherfucker, I ain't doing that shit. Fuck you.
Tell me what's
and then
going
Pressman's
on,
like,
you
I'm the
bitch."
boss around here, Joe. Luke Picard. Anyway.
Joe.
So they
Junior
fly in
Shabadoo.
through this little crevasse in the asteroid, and then they find the ship, and what? It's half in the asteroid. Like, part of it is in the crevasse, and part of it is buried in the asteroid.
Like
That's
it's sticking out of the
it's
asteroid.
like a half melted chocolate bar. So everyone's like, what the fuck happened? And Pressman's like, let's not make a big deal about it.
Let's not make a big deal out of this seeming violation of reality.
Only me and Riker can go over there. So
Riker's got to get his porn
So he and
back.
Riker beam over, and then Riker's like, no, Admiral, you jerk off. I should have, the crew mutinied before, and I should have joined them, but I didn't because I was young and naive and wanted to live. But now that I'm old and grizzled, I have no such desires, and
I feel you.
And I would not. I would.
Oh.
If I had it to do over again, I would have pointed the phaser at you, Dad. So they get the equipment back to the ship, and then, whoops, the Romulans accidentally sealed them in, and they're like, well, we'll beam you out.
I love that fucker. I love
He's
that
the
captain.
best.
Torrin is great.
If we had known you were there.
He's the most passive-aggressive Romulan
great.
we've met, and he's amazing.
No, I love him.
I do too. I really like him.
So so they're like, and they're like, well, we can't obviously do that because if we go up aboard their ship, they're just gonna, steal the Enterprise and all of our
and
secrets.
the Pegasus.
So instead, Riker's like, enough is enough. Dad 1 is hiding something, and it is that the thing that was on the Pegasus was a phase cloak, like in when Geordi and Ro died, and so now we're gonna hook it up to the ship, and we can escape through the asteroid. So they do that, and then they leave, and Riker has to go in a timeout for a little bit, but otherwise, no worse for the wear.
Yeah, no, he's fine.
Yeah, and Pressman is like in jail basically.
Yeah, Pressman's gonna have a hard time.
This is what do people think of this episode?
This is one of my top episodes.
I liked it.
I liked it, yeah.
It's an amazing episode, despite how it is later utilized in Enterprise.
How's it
Oh,
utilized?
we won't
Let's
talk-
not talk
no.
about it.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll talk about it off air.
I was gonna say, I haven't seen any of Enterprise
Yeah, I
yet, so don't do
Yeah,
that. to me.
this is-
No, but it's
Yeah,
an
I do
amazing
think-
episode.
I do
I
think
really like it too.
the way
Yeah,
that
it
they
was
had to
really
kind
good.
of retcon with this Treaty of Algernon thing to explain why the Federation doesn't use cloaking technology is a
When
little
everybody
bit
else has it.
forced.
Honestly though, I'm glad they did it because I think that because the other explanations don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like the other explanation is.
Do you want to know what the other excuses they were thinking
Well,
about?
I was thinking it was like, well, we're the Federation. We don't sneak around in.
That's one of them.
Cloak and
That's
dagger.
literally it in quotes.
We're above that.
That's such
No,
bullshit.
the earlier excuses that I wrote
definitely
down
bullshit.
included that cloaking technology harms humans.
Oh.
It doesn't work on Federation starships, and that, quote, we don't sneak around.
That's funny. I can imagine. So the first one, the cloaking harms humans. I can imagine the ambulance chaser ads. Are you or someone you love suffering from post cloaking syndrome? Call the offices of Goron.
Call Quark, and Quark.
Imagine like Jonathan Frakes having to try to sell the idea that like he should have mutinied because humans don't sneak around. Like,
Yeah.
it would be
Yeah.
You're better than this.
That's like a season 1 Wesley
Yeah.
line.
Frankly, like the treaty.
But why would anyone do drugs?
The treaty is actually a stretch as motivating this episode to me. Like when Riker was like I should have mutinied because we were violating a treaty. On the one hand, I was like, I appreciate that this is a utopian setting. Starfleet officers are principled people. And maybe this is also a time thing.
Only the ones we watch in this show are
Yeah.
principled people.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think most of Starfleet is actually assholes.
But it's like maybe this is also like when it was made, right? Because I imagine in the mid 90s having been like, yeah, our military, they're very responsible, principled people who think
Cold
deeply
War's
about
over.
these issues. And then it's like in 2019, it's like, why would a treaty stop the military from experimenting with weapons technology? It
And
doesn't make any
let's
sense.
be honest here, Pressman is absolutely right in what he says that that treaty is shit.
Oh
Seems
yeah,
like-
because
seems
the
like a bad
Romulans,
treaty.
the Romulans can still use cloaking
Like
technology
you said,
themselves.
it doesn't deny the
What?
Romulans the right to use it. So there could be Romulans literally anywhere. Spying on literally
Cloaked.
anything. Cloaked.
Phased.
They have no good way to detect the cloak other than the tachyon grid, which you need a shitload of ships, and you can only cover a little piece of space that would fit between the Earth and the Moon, we determined.
10 kilometers.
No, we determined that entire detection grid that they had in Redemption would have fit within the orbit of the Moon. It's that shitty.
Yeah, I was gonna say the universe is way bigger than that.
So
it turns out.
Oops.
Oh wait.
Allegedly.
So yeah, that Pressman has a serious point there. Now him going out on his own to essentially do this, although it sounds like Starfleet intelligence was involved.
Oh, they were
in it.
1,000%.
I mean,
okay
it
with
honestly sounds like, obviously, the concept of Section 31 hasn't been established yet in Star Trek lore.
But this is definitely.
But
some
this
Section
would be a
31
Section
shit.
31 project.
I mean, which sort of raises the question, right? Like, I actually don't know DS9 very well, but I know that one of the tensions in DS9 is like, will Sisko go along with like Section 31 stuff? Picard wouldn't, right? Picard would just be like, no, fuck this. Like, I'll do whatever I have
too
to.
Principled.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely the thing, and the thing about Sisko and like Sisko definitely operates in more of a ethical gray area from time to time. Like he's still a good guy, but he'll stretch the rules.
Yeah,
and I think that has to do with, perhaps ironically, his experience with Picard.
right.
In which his wife was killed during the Battle of Wolf 359.
Spoilers for the first episode.
The
The
first
first
couple
5
Spoilers
minutes.
the first
So,
5
like,
minutes
so
of the
he
first
kinda- so
episode.
he's kind of like, well,
Guys, how could you? I've
like,
never seen it.
like honestly, if Sisko was running the show when they found Hugh, you better believe he would have released that virus.
Oh yeah. Actually, no, he wouldn't have, because he wouldn't even have bothered having them bring Hugh aboard.
Oh
That's
yeah,
true.
they would have just.
He'd have just been like, crush its skull.
Yep.
But if like Bev had gotten him on board somehow, yes, he'd have been like, all right, virus.
And then some stabbing, just for fun.
But
I do enjoy the like just the kind of like skullduggery like within Starfleet stuff.
There's
like, which
so much.
It's like it like
That's
comes
true,
back
there is.
again and again at like the
That's the thing. In reality, Jake, Pressman's gonna be fine. Like,
It
there'll
was-
maybe be a show trial, and maybe he'll quote-unquote lose his rank and position.
But he'll probably get a great job
Oh,
somewhere else.
they will immediately bring him into Starfleet Intelligence R&D.
yeah,
There was,
assuming he was was he the engineer that built the cloak? Like,
I was wondering about that.
Well, no,
'cause,
'cause he was
it's his
captain of the Pegasus.
experiment,
Yeah.
and no one else seems to really be in on the experiment who was a scientist.
or maybe
Or
the
they
scientists.
mutated.
Yeah, maybe the scientists were among the mutineers.
Yeah, they were those
Yeah.
dead guys we saw in the Pegasus.
And I also, I'll get to that because there's a note that Chris will enjoy, I think.
Oh, no, not one of those.
So,
So
but I will
combat
say
is-
though, while we're still on the topic of what transpired, I think they could have fixed the issue with it being, the treaty being the reason why for the mutiny. If they had said like, he was gonna go and attack somebody or something,
Blow up.
like
I wouldn't put it past
like he
him.
was gonna do. He was like in the process of not just violating the treaty with the cloak, but planning to use it. in
Gonna go
some
all
way.
Captain Maxwell or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Maxwell,
the
right?
warden and that guy, right? Is that him?
Yeah.
That would have been a quest for vengeance, though. Would have been
Yeah,
too similar.
But it
Yeah.
is like at the same time it is like I wish that I feel like when I was a kid like right this is growing up I feel like when I was a kid I would have been like right they're breaking a treaty they're the good guys they don't do that
That's true.
so but like now it's so like I am just like I want to like I like the idea of a world where I'd be like right of course the crew would mutiny if they realized that what you were doing was like illegal under international law.
Yeah, or even just morally wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the impression I'm under, though, is that the initial crew mutiny was less about morals and more about it's not going to work, it's going to kill us.
Yeah, but it sounds like it didn't. It wasn't that like it failed because they fucked something up. Is what I mean. That's what Pressman says.
There was
Do
a
we trust him?
what
Yes.
I think the specific series of events is that they are like Riker says like listen we have this we should use it and he's like Data like get this installed and Data like in his analysis is like there
it'll
is
overload.
a problem with it will
Yeah.
do this we can stop that by doing this other thing and they didn't catch that thing was going to happen so it threw the ship off.
I kind of love that even at this stage of the game, they were letting Pressman hang out on the bridge.
Yeah, it was
Like,
interesting.
he should have been dragged off to
But
the
he was
brig
still an
way.
expert in the technology
That's
they were trying to use.
highlight of the episode is it's like Worf gets a great moment actually with like Picard's like nope like I'm relieving you of command and Pressman's like that's funny like
Yes,
Mr. Worf escort the captain out of here
Just crosses his arms.
Worf's like I take my orders from Captain Picard buddy.
I feel like I was in this situation once before, and I waited a little too long to come to my senses.
Yeah.
Not this time.
yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna. So the thing I was gonna mention, Chris, I think you would be amused by is so before Riker and Pressman beamed over to the Pegasus, somebody else must have been there first and redressed one of the corpses.
Oh, you're right. They had the wrong uniform.
Well, the one that was on the floor appeared to have the collar stripe.
Okay.
But the one that was sitting in the chair was in a sweater. Was in the normal sweater.
That's funny.
So they went. And we know that those uniforms only came into use like 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Didn't have to go over and redress. Could have just gone over there and died.
that's true.
It's like,
I'll beam over and see what's going on. Wait, we haven't set up the life support. Oh, too late.
Oh wait, let's talk about the cat and mouse stuff with the Romulans.
Oh, that's so
fun.
great.
It reminded me a lot of what that movie with
Mouse Hunt.
Das Boot.
no,
Hunt for the Red October.
Hunt for Red October. It's a different sub movie.
D for the win.
Yeah, Hunt for Red October, where it's kind of a similar thing, right? So, in brief, that was, the Russians had a secret weapon, a cloaking device, basically, for their sub.
And their secret weapon was Gates McFadden.
Yes.
I think it was the caterpillar drive?
It was it made the sub completely silent.
Yeah.
Which is basically a cloaking device for submarines. And then it's the movie's really like this Russian sub and the American sub trying to find it because its captain had gone rogue. Mm-hmm. And I won't spoil the ending, but that's the plot of the film.
That passive-aggressive... All of their passive-aggressive exchanges of like Romulan Captain, what do you do? What's his name?
No, whatever I said earlier, ignore. His name was Cyril.
Cyril. Like, oh, Captain Cyril, what are you doing here? We're studying gaseous anomalies, Captain. What are you doing here?
So the same.
What a coincidence! We're studying gaseous anomalies.
Oh, can I see your studies?
No, I think that's fine.
Is it Picard who's like, I doubt we would have been in any danger.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And there's just that like when they're stuck in inside the asteroid because the Romulans fucking blew up the entranceway, and the captain's like, oh gosh, we were just doing some experiments.
When I do that,
It's so good.
if we'd been able to tell you what you were doing, then we wouldn't have known you were going to go in there.
We'd only known you were in there. Oh god.
I wish they had come up with this guy years ago, and I wish he had been recurring.
Yeah,
he would
honestly
be such a good
I like
recurring
Tomalak,
character.
but this guy is
Yes.
so much more menacing.
Well,
Yeah.
but he's also like a TNG Koloth kind of. Like it's that kind of like.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It reminded me a lot of
My
that
dear
vibe.
old Captain Picard.
Oh, my dear.
Yeah, but definitely my favorite
Still Koloth.
Romulan antagonist.
Yeah, no, he's
amazing. Of this series, I think, so far.
I love his offer, oh gosh, well we can't get you out of there. I guess we'll just teleport you aboard. You're not prisoners or anything.
You'll come hang on Romulus for a few days.
Yes.
Yeah, we just take you light years away from here.
Think of it as a vacation.
Leave your starship and this experimental starship just hanging around. We wouldn't do anything with them. Oh, so good.
And you know what else I loved? Another doomed fucking Oberth.
It was supposed to be a Cheyenne class, but they didn't want to make another model.
Was that the Bozeman?
No, that was we found out what that was. The Bozeman was not a Miranda.
No, it was a heavily modified
It
Miranda.
was something else.
Cheyenne class.
Something that I, from a writing perspective, that I think I realized at the end of the episode that was really strong was that Captain Picard Day serves its purpose. Because the whole point is that you see Riker, it's like one of the most I think it's one of the most memed images, right?
Him holding the little...
There's this adorable dorky little doll of Captain Picard that Riker picks up, and when Picard's making fun, he's talking through it. He's like, oh, that's number one.
Make a troll.
And Picard's like, I think you're needed on the bridge. And he tucks it into his arm and does this sweet ass spin.
turn.
Excuse me and my friend are leaving. It's so good.
Personally, I think Will's impression should have got first place.
That's true. And then that sort of, even though that's obviously they're poking fun at each other and there's some tension,
Well, I think next week will be Commander Riker Day.
Next month.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, next month will be Commander Riker Day. Then
and he'd enjoy it though. Is the problem?
Riker would love it.
Oh, he would Oh my god, that would be actually a great scene.
Beards all around.
The and then the contrast as soon as Pressman shows up, Riker just like gets very stiff, and and then it that creates new tension in the relationship between Riker and Picard. Like that, just that the way that dynamic was introduced and then interrogated was very good writing.
The scene of Picard being disappointed in Riker in his quarters was very effective.
Sorry, Dad.
I kept thinking
it was such a bummer.
The first duty of every Starfleet officer is the truth.
Yeah, it was very first duty
Pressman's like, the first duty of every Starfleet officer is to serve me.
Yeah, to obey. Which I thought, the thing is, that whole thing is foreshadowed very early in the episode when Pressman first comes aboard and he's having dinner with Picard. Yeah. And he's asking Picard, well, why did you want Will? Why did you what made you just choose Will to be your first officer? And Picard's like, well, because I saw that he violated his captain orders, and we were speculating was that a reference to the mission where Tom Riker was created?
I didn't. I ended up looking it up
because there was a mention of he didn't allow his captain to beam down on this dangerous away mission, and I saw that in his file, and I wanted a commander that would think for himself and not always do what he's told. And then Pressman's immediately like, really? Because I've always found the best officers are the ones that do what I tell them to do.
At the very least, it's definitely the mission that Picard talks to Riker about in the first episode.
Yeah, it's an encounter at Farpoint or something. I remember.
Yeah, they do
story.
bring it up, but I was wondering.
I wonder if it could be. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I didn't look that up. What I did look up was that Captain Picard Day being a great opening to this episode. It was originally going to be just some of the fucking characters doing a rehearsal for Pygmalion. They're constantly doing all these goddamn play rehearsals.
You gotta fill their time.
What would be the significance of Pygmalion though?
Well, they were going to change the setting up so it was more relevant.
Instead of Pressman coming on board to find a cloaking device, he's coming on board to turn Riker into
a new
upstanding
accent.
A duchess.
Citizen.
In that regard, a lot of it is sort of about the people that have had a lot of effect on molding Riker into who he is.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay.
Captain Picard Day is definitely way better than yet another fucking rehearsal.
No
Who
doubt.
was going to be Higgins, Data?
I didn't see, but I can only assume Bev would be directing.
I got to admit, I would like to see 2 minutes of Data delivering Higgins dialogue.
Actually, that would be kind of fun.
Wait, but who would be Eliza?
Riker.
I know what I would kill for.
It would be that woman whose son, that one guy was like, "What is this?" Playing with a child.
Yes.
I would love to see 2 minutes of that character or whoever, with the full cast around them singing "Oh no, I want" the ridiculous accent.
Ro could do.
Ruh-roh.
There we go.
Oh, that would actually be really fun.
See,
it's kind of a parallel story in a way.
Also, Ro would never agree to be in a play.
No.
Every episode needs more Ro.
What if there was here's my fanfic pitch for this. Ro does she does something bad, pretty serious, where you're believably oh geez, even Ro with his
she's wearing that earring.
Her whole brand is that she's always about to be drummed out, is seriously about to be court-martialed, and she has to complete a therapy anger management or something, and Deanna's I think what's best for you is theater. It's drama therapy.
Now I just want this as an episode.
Yeah.
I just want the episode where for some stupid convoluted reason Ensign Ro has to play Eliza Doolittle.
Isn't there's a Twitter account that's start Next Generation season 9 or
maybe.
Ooh.
That sounds familiar actually.
I've seen it. There is such an account, I forget the name of it, but it's very funny, and the biggest running joke is basically Geordi and Data being the Hardy Boys, just having really silly adventures.
I love it.
But I feel this is maybe I'll tweet this at them. This is gold. This is
nice.
This is gonna go places.
I love it.
Oh man.
Actually, come to think of it though, I think Ro would have made an interesting perspective in this episode.
I agree.
Always.
Considering
Every
her
episode.
story,
I love Ro.
Part of the reason why she was, in a penal colony when she was first introduced was because she disobeyed orders.
Yeah.
And it got people killed.
I was actually because I'm not doing the complete watch through. I thought the same thing. I was this is Ro's territory. She still around.
Yep.
She just hasn't been
We
seen
haven't seen
since
her in a bit, right?
She hasn't-
Rascals, I think was the last
She
Yeah.
hasn't been featured, but we don't.
I
she hasn't
think-
been
I
featured.
actually-
haven't
I
stopped
think-
playing.
I was gonna say, I think
Coloring book.
I don't think we haven't seen Guinan either. I think here's a new headcanon on where Ro and Guinan have been.
They're still children.
Guinan was already an adult by the end, but
Okay.
Ro was still a child. So I'm gonna say that Guinan was like, well, you never got to have a childhood, so you got some shore leave. So you and I are gonna go on like a grand adventure, and like I'll be your mom for a year.
I would read that series of books.
I would.
Like 3 of them.
Wow,
Three would handle it.
come up with some great, like,
You know who
young
would do that?
Ro and Guinan go on an adventure.
Someone tweet Peter David. He would totally be the perfect author for that. I
Peter
love
David.
Oh God! So he's written a shitload of Star Trek novels, but in particular, he wrote the New Frontier novels, which I fucking devoured as a teenager. It was like this very like isolationist empire collapses, and like basically part of the deal is the Federation can finally start like exploring this region of the galaxy, and there's like a member of the ousted royal family is sort of there as an observer and this and that. And he brought back a bunch of like TNG characters. Leffler is the CO. Silar's the CMO.
Oh, Solar, sweet.
Yeah, a couple other things. I eventually like...
Leffler is
Not Leffler, sorry. Shelby. Shelby is
Shelby.
the executive officer.
Shelby. Hell yeah, Shelby.
Shelby's the first
Which
officer.
one's Shelby? I'm sorry.
She was the first
The board
officer
expert.
during
Best of Both Worlds. The blonde woman.
She's the one that wanted
Kind of,
Riker's
poodle,
job.
kind of a poodle haircut.
Yeah.
Who's just like, yeah, like I love Shelby. I love that whole dynamic.
Yeah, no, she's...
I know Michael Fisher got to weigh in on that episode, but that whole
Did
dynamic
he not like Shelby? I don't remember.
No, I think you liked her fine.
Oh.
I forgot.
I think we liked her in that role.
I speculated during that because of how she was introduced at the end of season 3, if I did not, if I was watching it live, I would totally buy that the show continued with Riker as captain and Shelby as first officer.
Yeah, so she's first officer of the Excalibur, which is like the hero ship of the series. He also wrote Young Justice, which was a comic I read in high school.
Oh yeah.
Alright, we're down a path.
Yeah, so Peter David, I think, should write the adventures of fake young Ro and
Everybody
Guinan.
tweet at Peter David.
Yeah.
That's probably not his Twitter.
No, it's his Twitter. Everybody just tweet it. Just don't look.
Oh, also,
Just tweet
when I
it.
looked up the Cheyenne class, it was a Kit Bash model, one of the many destroyed ships at the Battle of Wolf 359. It is essentially an Enterprise D-style saucer with 4 nacelles. It's pretty cool looking.
That's neat.
4 nacelles.
Yep, 2 above, 2 below.
Never got the four nacelle look. Is
Like
it
the
redundancy
constellation?
or does it actually help?
I've read a lot of theories, but we won't get into it.
I'm sure the Klingons have thoughts on
So
that.
closing thoughts on the Pegasus.
What I would really like to see is a ride at Disney in which you get to go through a fucking asteroid like that. You get to phase
I'd say-
through an asteroid.
I mean, I do like that they made an effect for the phasing through the asteroid, but it was just like kind of like clouds, and I was like, I think it would just be
liked
black.
it.
I don't
remember
think
that.
you'd see anything.
I remember that CGI being. I
Yes.
was just like, what is this supposed to represent? Yeah.
What's going on?
What's happening inside this asteroid? What is this asteroid feeling?
But yeah, so that's cool. And
That's
this-
Troy.
And honestly, and it's true. This is the second time we've seen a Federation ship cloak. The other being the original Enterprise during the Enterprise incident.
Yep.
Are we not counting the HMS Bounty? Is it HMS? Yeah. it must be.
HMS.
Yeah, they call
Yeah.
it HMS Bounty after the ship in the book.
I'm counting the HMS
Okay,
Bounty.
very well.
It's the third time.
Sure. Although okay, fine. It's the second time we've seen a ship called Enterprise cloak. Which is cool because it was kind of fun watching the effect of the cloak. They used the same Romulan style, like,
And sound effect.
yeah.
Also, it's at Peter David _PAD.
Great.
What
Everybody
is-
get at him.
All right, the Adventures of
Young Ro and Guinan.
Yep.
Yep.
And a separate one where, well, actually, no. One of the adventures could be that would also fit as Guinan orders Young Ro to play Lesson Too Little.
There we go.
Yep.
Perfect.
Great. Two birds, one stone.
In fact, that's really all it is. They go and they're like, we're going to go on a grand adventure. And then like somehow they get sucked into doing some community theater. Guided
Growing
as a
up is the
directed.
grandest adventure of all.
Oh my god, that would have to be the tagline of the whole series.
Adolescence, the final frontier.
Oh no.
Let's wrap up this discussion quickly before
Yeah.
I go completely nuts.
Anything else on this one? Star Trek.
It was
Anything else about Star
really,
Trek?
really good.
Yeah, this was a great episode.
That's good.
We had a good
This was a
day.
good week. I enjoyed
Yeah,
these.
Both episodes
Yeah.
were very good.
It's true. This
How
is a
about
really
next
good-
week? How's next week
Can
looking,
we
Jake?
say
Oh,
the
boy.
same about next week's episode?
Can we?
I don't know. You tell. We'll find out.
What are they?
Well, they are 2 episodes called Homeward
I think that's a decent one.
Eh.
and Sub Rosa.
Oh, you mean the highest rated episode in the history of the TNG
on
series?
opposite day?
I
Shades of Grey.
I am hopeful that it will at least be like so bad it's hysterical.
So optimistic.
Yeah, it's interesting. So those will be coming up. Yeah, Sub Rosa being an infamously bad episode, but we'll make our own determination on that. We might be surprised.
We've not hated as much as we expect to hate most of the most hated episodes we've seen.
Except Shades of Grey. That one can go fuck itself.
None of us put it on our bottom list.
I think I didn't put it on the bottom list because I was like deliberately disqualified it from consideration.
I think we all definitely hated Code of Honor.
No, we didn't.
We didn't?
Code of Honor?
I didn't hate Code of Honor.
Really? Oh.
We've discussed this many times.
I keep forgetting.
James is outraged.
Either way, we'll find out next time on
just don't
our
appreciate
star
people
to
speaking for
steer
you.
her by. White Cat's here.
He is. He's very chill.
He heard that we were going to be doing Sub Rosa, and he's like, "That's my favorite."
I love
That's your favorite one, Kitty.
So that's coming up next time. Until then, you can like our Facebook on Facebook.com. Search for A Star to Steer Her By. You can also tweet our tweets on Twitter at SSHB Podcast or on Tumblr BHSSHB Podcast.
LMNOP. Yeah, we get it.
You can find our Tumblr at SSHB Podcast, is what I meant to say. You can also go to our webpage, sshbpodcast.com, where you will find a video of my butthole. It's actually a shock site.
It's like a hole in space.
I didn't tell you guys this, but yeah, the sshbpodcast.com. It's gonna be the next goat seat. Just you wait and see.
Yikes.
It's gonna be huge, and I don't mean in
Ministers of Grace
popularity.
defend us.
Anyway, that's coming up.
So glad when Jake doesn't do the outros anymore.
Soon.
Very soon.
Not because Caitlin and I worked out a deal where I'm gonna do them anyway.
Okay.
We did not. There was no such deal.
That's true. All right. Well, so anyway, that's where you can find us. Of course, you can download our podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes and the other ones. You know how to find us.
Yeah.
Why do we do this every week? My name has been Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
This is D. We'll always have Paris listeners.
I miss you.
Don't mute the mic.
There we go.
Dexter Jetster?
Dexter's Lab?
Of the
Weehawken
Coruscant
Jetsters.
Jetsters.
Does he actually say that in the film?
No, I don't think so.
I know,
Oh, dude, I
sadly.
wish he would have.
Man, we should do a 10 forward series of the Star Wars.
I've been saying this for a long time now.
Really
to make
just-
Caitlin finally see two.
Just episode 2, so I can be angry.
Do I really have to? Can I just
It's
live on?
gonna be so fun
knowing
to hate on
that
it,
he
though.
hates it. But listen, he hates sand. I think I know everything I need to know. I know.
I hate
It
sand.
gets in everything.
It gets in my butt crack.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was...
I hate the little net in my bathing suit because all the sand collects there.
Oh, those nets do not need to be there.
What the fuck is
I
happening?
don't know, to be
It's
honest.
probably supposed
Mostly
to
to put a
meant-
pattern on your balls.
I was gonna say, isn't it just meant to like holster your balls, kind
It's
of?
bad.
I mean,
Whatever it is, it's
look,
uncomfortable.
unless you're like Milton
this the right
Berle,
order?
the
Yeah.
the legs of the trunks are long enough that you don't have to worry.
having been on both sides of this, it really served no purpose.
Yeah,
There's No
exactly.
reason.
So
When I was in swim
Just
team, I
wear
had to wear a
underwear. You're
Speedo.
fine.
And I have to say, if it weren't for the stigma of wearing the Speedo, I'd go Speedo.
I want you
It's
to. I want
way
you to
more
rock a
comfy.
Jake's
Speedo
got
so
fucking
bad.
hot legs, so
I have no.
Hot legs.
It's way comfy.
Hot
Jeez.
legs. Isn't that a Rod Stewart song? I think it is.
But it has to
Okay.
be the thong style.
So
I love
Yeah.
when Ames gets down and dirty.
What? What do you got?
it's a
have you
tweet.
seen his calves?
We got
Jake, whip out a calf.
No, I'm not calving. like a glacier.
Not with
Like
that
Gracie.
attitude, you are.
Crazy.
Gracie
They
Cab.
are not the hell your calves.
So apparently this was from a couple of weeks ago, somebody tweeted, every once in a while I honestly wonder how Tim Curry is doing. And apparently someone showed Tim Curry.
He had a stroke.
About a
yeah,
year,
it was like a
2
pretty
years
big
ago.
one. It was
He
longer
didn't
than that,
look
wasn't
great.
it?
I don't know. But so he apparently saw it and he retweeted the tweet with, I'm doing swell, thank you.
Aw.
I spent today chilling with a bowl of miniature Three Musketeers and muttering, all for one and more for me, every time someone came near before chewing one maniacally and unwrapping another. You.
That's amazing.
It
I
is.
love
I'm
Tim
glad
Curry
you
so much.
you saved that to get it on the air, didn't you?
No, I actually just saw it because I was trying to clear away the notification so it wouldn't bother me, and that was the first thing I saw.